Ladies, be careful who you bring home from dating apps. That was what Tang's friend told her once, but she had laughed it off. Back then, she did not believe in those stories. Tales of women disappearing after meeting strangers online. Those things happened in big cities, in foreign places. Not here, not in this town where she had lived all her life. But tonight, as she sat frozen in her bed, listening to the slow, deliberate knocks on her bedroom door, she realized how wrong she had been. Somewhere in her living room, just beyond the locked door, was Abe, a man she met on a dating app. And something was very, very wrong with him. 1 month earlier, Tang's life had been comfortable but lonely. She had always believed that love would happen naturally. A glance across a room, a soft touch, a shared laugh. She wanted a love story she could tell her future children, one that felt real. But love had not come easily for her. She was beautiful, successful, and lived in a nice apartment. She had everything, except the one thing she truly longed for. When it came to relationships, she was unlucky. Her friends told her she was too picky, always telling her to lower her standards and give men a chance. One evening, after yet another disappointing date, Tang sat at a restaurant, swirling her drink and venting to her friend. The man she had gone out with had spent half the time bragging about his wealth and the other half checking his phone. Her friend suggested something new: dating apps. At first, Tang scoffed at the idea. She wasn't that desperate, she still believed in meeting someone naturally. But later that night, as she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, she gave in. She downloaded an app, created a profile, and started swiping. It felt silly at first, like shopping for a man. Then she matched with someone. His name was Abe. He was handsome, charming, well-spoken. His messages were warm, easy, and engaging. He asked about her interests, her work, her dreams. Unlike other men she had spoken to, Abe actually listened. For the first time in a long time, Tang felt a spark. One day, Abe suggested they meet for dinner, and Tang agreed. When she arrived at the restaurant, he was already there, waiting with a confident smile. His dark skin glowed under the soft lighting, his neatly trimmed beard and well-tailored outfit, making him look even more attractive in person. The conversation flowed effortlessly. He was funny, intelligent, and kind. He made her laugh. He made her feel seen. By the time they left the restaurant, Tang was thinking that maybe, just maybe, this could be something real. But just as she was about to get into her car, Abe suddenly stopped and ran a hand through his hair, sighing. Then he told her he had lost his apartment key. He checked his car, checked his coat, even retraced his steps back toward the restaurant, but the key was nowhere to be found. He said his landlord was out of town and that he had no spare key. Looking frustrated, he turned to her and hesitated before asking if he could spend the night at her place, just for the night. Tang hesitated. She was not sure. She barely knew him. Noticing her reluctance, Abe quickly assured her that he would sleep on the couch. He wouldn't be a bother. Every sensible part of Tang told her to say no. But then she thought about how kind he had been, how he had pulled out her chair, listened to her talk about work, laughed at her jokes. He seemed decent, and she couldn't just let him sleep outside. So she agreed. When they arrived at Tang's apartment, she kicked off her shoes and placed her keys on the table. Her apartment was warm and cozy, with soft lighting and neatly arranged furniture. She handed Abe a pillow and a blanket and told him he could sleep on the couch. Abe smiled, grateful, and thanked her. She gave him a small nod and went to her bedroom. As she closed the door behind her, something in her chest tightened. She had never locked her bedroom door before. She had never needed to. But tonight, something told her she should. Her hand hovered over the lock for a second. Then, Without thinking twice, she turned it. Sometime past midnight, Tang awoke to a knock. Knock, knock. A slow, deliberate tapping on her bedroom door. Her heart jumped. Abe was outside the door. He said his phone had died and asked if he could borrow a charger. Relieved, she told him the charger was in the living room. She listened as his footsteps moved away. Everything went silent after that. She was just starting to sleep again when... Knock! Knock! Her eyes snapped open. Why was he back? His voice came again, but something was different. He told her his phone wasn't charging. He thought it was broken. And now, he wanted her phone. He needed to make an urgent call. Tang's stomach tightened. Something felt wrong. She could easily open the door, hand him the phone, and go back to sleep. But something deep inside her screamed not to. She stayed silent. Then, Abe knocked again. And again. Each knock was heavier than the last, more impatient. And when Tang remained silent, the knocking changed to banging. Open the door! His voice was not the same anymore. It was deep, angry, almost shaking. Tang's blood ran cold. She didn't need anybody to tell her. If she opened that door, she would not see morning. Her hands shook as she grabbed her phone. She pressed the emergency number. The call barely rang twice before someone picked up. The police were on their way. After speaking to the police, she sat in a corner, wrapping her arms around her legs, counting the minutes until they arrived. She begged God to spare her. Minutes felt like hours as she sat frozen, waiting. Abe's banging continued. He was muttering something now, something too low for her to hear. And then, she heard a loud bang on the front door. The police had arrived. Tang didn't open her bedroom door until she was sure it was safe. When she stepped out, the first thing she saw was plastic. Her entire living room was covered in plastic. The couch, the floor, the walls. It was like something from a horror movie. Abe was pinned down by the police, shouting angrily as they restrained him. The charm he had once shown was completely gone, his face twisted in rage. One of the officers turned to Tang and told her she was lucky to be alive. It was later that she learned the truth. Abe had been following her for weeks, even before they met on the dating app. He had done this before to other women who had disappeared without a trace. He had never lost his apartment key. He never even had an apartment. He had been planning to kill her that night. The plastic had been there to stop her blood from staining the floor and walls. He was careful. He never left any trace behind. Nothing for the police to find. Tang sat on her couch, staring at the plastic still clinging to her furniture. She was shaking. She could still hear his voice in her head. Can I spend the night? Can I borrow your phone? Open the door. She would never ever forget it. And she would never ever bring a man home from a dating app again. The moral lesson of this story is to always be cautious when meeting strangers, especially through dating apps. Dating apps themselves are not bad. They have helped many people find love, companionship, and even lifelong partners. But not everyone on these platforms has good intentions. The internet allows people to hide behind carefully crafted profiles showing only what they want others to see. A charming smile, a kind message, and polite words can all be masks for something far more sinister. Tang was lucky. She trusted her instincts and that decision saved her life. Not everyone gets that chance. So, be careful who you trust. Take your time. Never ignore the small warnings, the uneasy feelings, the instincts that whisper when something isn't right. And above all, never put yourself in a situation where safety is a gamble. Because not every smiling face is a friend. And sometimes, the danger is already inside your home before you even realize it.